The next step in extract, transform, AI, create is the transform piece of this. And when you're thinking about transform, this is all about manipulating the data to put it in some format that is more amenable to whatever we're trying to accomplish with the AI and the creation later down the road, or more like what we want the final product to be. So let's look at what this is. Now I'm going to give you a simple example. Like I've got this diagram drawn here where I'm showing extract, transform, analyze, create, or AI, create. What does that mean? Like when I'm talking about this flow, what am I really talking about? Well, what I'm really talking about, one way to map it is to map it into the conversation. So think about the flow in your conversation with Code Interpreter. So when you're having the discussion, you're basically moving through this flow. You start off by giving it a document and asking it to extract some information. Or sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just start by having it create something. But imagine that you're having it go and extract something. And there's just a model to kind of think through the capabilities. So in this case, as I'm moving through the conversation, I'm basically moving through different phases of extract, transform, analyze, and create. Now you can have much more complex flows that move back and forth, but I think it's kind of a helpful model to have in your head to just simplify this and think about taking data out from what you upload or provide, transforming it in some way, analyzing it, and create it. Now there's much more complicated flows, but this simple one will take you a long way. So here's an example. I started off, I had this graph, and now I'm going to go and transform it. And I'm transforming it by basically taking what I had before and I'm turning it into something new. I'm modifying it and I'm moving that red dot from extract down to transform to highlight it. And then I'm transforming it again in this image down here where it's completely changed. I've changed the title, it's been redrawn completely, and now transform is highlighted. And so there's basically a series of transformations. And basically, each time I'm giving it instructions on how to do the transformation. In this case, I said redo the graph to have the title extract, transform, AI, create. That was basically specifying a transformation. So when you're having a conversation and going through and saying, you know, here's the thing I want to do next, you're going to be, you know, walking through these basic steps. And you kind of have them in your head. It helps you to kind of think through and structure what you can do. So let's take a look at some transformations. So earlier, I took a PDF and I extracted it into individual pages. So I just pulled pages out of a PDF for a travel policy for Vanderbilt. And now I'm going to transform that into a mapping of the policies to the pages that they appear on. So basically, I'm transforming individual pages as raw text into essentially a structured index where now I can go and look up, okay, well, here's what's on page 1, here's what's on page 2. Now, the original PDF had everything, but I've extracted pages, and then I'm transforming the pages to have a subset of what matters to me. That's the transformation from raw text on the page into a sort of a description of the key topics that are on the page. Now, AI is really being used to do this probably. It may or may not be. It may just be reading section headers, but you can kind of think of it as a transformation. And then here's an example where I've taken a data set that I uploaded in Excel, and what I'm doing is I'm reshaping that data set. So I'm transforming it to give it a different format. So this is not the format. The columns were different. All of this data was there within it, but it wasn't in this format. It was, the rows were actually these different prompts that we see up top. And the size and the values and these other things were associated with prompts being more of the rows, and all this information was associated with a particular prompt. Now I've reshaped it so that the problem is what everything is sort of associated with. And so I've sort of reshaped and moved all the data around and transformed it in a way through AI. So I'm taking this information in, this Excel file, and now I'm transforming it and reshaping it to be more in the format that I want to work with. And sometimes the reason we're doing this is because we could, if we do it step by step, and we build these things step by step, if you remember earlier, I told you that Code Interpreter is like your intern, right? And so the more that we can do to simplify each individual step as opposed to just giving it a long, huge, complicated task all at once, the better off we are. So if we simplify this into, okay, well, let's extract something, go do that, do a good job with it, come back, show it to me. Now I'm going to transform it a little bit, and I'm trying to get this data into a format that is going to be easier for it to work with, and also easier for me to talk about. Sometimes part of the reason we're doing a transformation is because it's easier to explain what we want if the data or the text or the image is in a particular format. So if we've already done some work, sometimes it's easier to explain what the end goal is going to be. And then here's an example where I've done a transformation and I've drawn a red box on top of this image. Now it turns out I've actually probably done several things in here. I've actually detected faces and other things, but I've done a transformation to the image where I've transformed it from an image without the red box to one with the red box. Now if I wanted to go back and talk about the image in the red box, I could do that where I could use that red box as some type of target in order to crop the image, for example. So that I might be able to now go back and say, pull out the part of the image that's surrounded by a red box. And it might be able to go and do that. Whereas if I said go and find the face and then extract it from the image, that might be harder. But having it step by step could potentially be easier to talk about. So there's different things that you can go and do. And transformation is going to be one that's helpful to you, both from the perspective of getting data or getting text or getting whatever it is in a format that's closer to your end product, but also so that when you talk to Code Interpreter, it makes it easier for you to explain what you're actually trying to accomplish.